Officials say the radiation level in contaminated water at the number 2 reactor is, get this, 10 million times higher than normal. Workers evacuated the building. Their work had to be put on hold. Also, officials are still trying to determine the relationship between contaminated water inside the plant and in seawater just offshore.
Okay. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. That was a clip from CNN this morning reporting 10 million times normal levels of radiation coming out of the destroyed and wrecked 6-reactor facility at Fukushima in northeast Japan. BBC, Associated Press, Russia Today, they all reported 10 million times normal background radiation levels as put out by TEPCO, the Tokyo Power and Electric. Now let's go back. On Wednesday of last week, it was reported 1,600 times safe levels in food and water. First it was 20 kilometers, then 30, then 50, then 100. So 1,600 times. Then on Friday, it was confirmed by the Dutch, by the French, and by others that were there, and then confirmed by the Japanese government, that levels were at least 10,000 times normal. And, of course, now going back more than a week ago, the head of the reactor facility itself broke down at a press conference, began crying, and said, I can't be part of the cover-up anymore. These radiation levels will kill people. And we've also learned, the Japanese have admitted they've been involved in a 2-week plus, we're now 16 days into this disaster, 2+ weeks, that they have been covering up the real levels and only giving the public models, randomized models of what they think the radiation level might be. Now, specifically, Geiger counters only pick up the base radioactivity, not the dozens and dozens of different deadly isotopes, the cesium, the different uranium, plutonium isotopes. The plutonium meltdown is so bad inside Reactor 3 that in the last week it's been blasting ion beams that can be read on spectrographs more than 10 miles away. And so they're just giving you basic background radiation levels, not rolling out all the data. We know the Japanese, the U.S. government, many other governments have. You have the big Pacific Fleet in the area. You have massive U.S. military, Army, Navy, Marine Corps bases in Japan, the huge bases in South Korea. You've got submarines, nuclear submarines, all equipped with big sniffers that they can project up from below the water and pick up the full spectrum of isotopes and the exact radiation. The government, of course, has top meteorologists who understand exactly in computer models where this radiation is going to go. But 16 days in, they will not give us a spectrograph of the radiation levels. They will not give us the specific isotopes. They just tell us, don't worry about it. And now it turns out more than half of the radiation monitoring systems have been turned off on the West Coast, and the federal government is in control of the others, basically whitewashing what's going on. And here's what people need to know in England, in the continent of Europe, in Iceland, where a week ago radiation hit, already blown from northeast Japan, across the Pacific, across North America, already reached Europe a week ago. And here are some of the headlines today. Boston Herald, low-level radiation found in Bay State rainwater, including in Boston. Here's another one. This is WRAL-TV. Progress Energy, low levels of radiation detected in U.S. So they've got the power plants reporting. Very low levels of radioactive iodine-131 have been detected in the air throughout the U.S. as a result of nuclear leaks at Fukushima plant in Japan. Progress Energy officials said yesterday iodine-131 is a form of radiation typically released in the air by nuclear reactors. Yeah, when they melt down. And it goes on from there. Here's another one. This is out of the Associated Press. Tiny amounts of radiation from Japan reach Nevada, but it's minuscule, nothing to worry about. Yeah, the general background radiation is only up a little bit. But according to physicist after physicist after physicist, including the BBC's expert, Dr. Busby, a chemical physicist who studies specifically radiation danger, is on the big board for the European government, that it's the cumulative. Or if you happen to be the unlucky lottery winner with a little piece of lint or spider web that tend to be airborne that bumps up against the plutonium or the uranium and picks some of it up, and then it gets caught in the jet stream, caught in the trade winds, and comes across, and we know that happens. Every year we get red dirt that blows in from Mongolia, out of China, across Japan, across the Pacific, comes in Texas. We know that the dirty burning coal plants in China have been a big bone of contention with the EPA because we have clean coal systems, they don't, and the lead, the mercury, the arsenic blows in. It's all one world, and this stuff blows in, just like a coconut from South America or from the coast of Africa can float up to the Atlantic coast, or just like you can throw a message in a bottle off from the coastline of Japan. It'll reach California in a few months, or maybe a decade later. You never know how these currents and how the atmosphere works. But undoubtedly, we've been sold, and we've seen Ann Coulter, and now we've seen the big liberal eugenicist in England who are pushing one-child policies, global government, like Monbiot, come out and say that he's decided he likes nuclear power because of this disaster. Just in your face, throwing it in your face, telling you it's good for you. Obviously, a week after the 1986 Chernobyl disaster, yellow rain fell, in some cases 500 miles away or more, and the Russian government told the population that it was good for them and then it was pollen. The same yellow rain's been following in many areas of Japan in and around Fukushima, as far south as Tokyo. And again, they've been told it is good for them, that it is pollen, even though it's not even that season in Japan. So the same story, just a different country that we see that happening yet again. I want to get your take on this, but look, they confirmed 1,600 times Wednesday, safe levels. Friday, it was 10,000 times confirmed. 10 million times, CNN, AP. I'm going to tell you that, first they announced that, the Japanese government, and then via a communique they were given by Tokyo Power and Electric. And we've had a bunch of their engineers go public, that's in my stack of news, saying, yes, we covered this up. Yes, it's been a cover-up. You've had the head of the plant now 9 days ago, Friday before last, go public and said there was a cover-up and breakdown crying. But I have to say, look, 10,000 times safe levels is enough to kill you, according to the nuclear physicists and other people we've interviewed. And again, the chemical physicists we've interviewed. 10 million times, I did some checking, and it looks like that's what comes out of a neutron star. And if you were flying by in a spaceship past a standard neutron star and got within just a million miles of it or so, no matter what shielding you had, the neutrons would go right through it and kill you deader than a hammer. So I have a big problem believing that the radiation coming out of Fukushima is 10 million times. I don't think that's possible, but I'm going to get some nuclear physicists on in the next few days to ask them about that. Now, they haven't fully retracted it. They put that out Saturday in Japan. Today, our media ran with it, and a few hours later, the LA Times was the first to get the news out of the Kyoto paper that, they're not retracting it, but they don't believe that's right, and they're going to retest. Well, the problem is the Japanese on Thursday of last week, the Japanese government admitted that they hadn't been issuing in the two states or prefectures in and around Fukushima. And we'd noticed this on their official government maps a week and a half in. They would never put out the radiation numbers in those two key areas. Oh, they'd show it to the south in Tokyo, or they'd show it to the north. But they would never, and which were very high levels, but they wouldn't show it there. They kept saying, we're collating, we're still gathering. So they now admit it was much higher than they'd first said. But 10,000 times, 10 million, whatever, it'll all kill you. Many experts think a lot of these folks that have been in the plant will die within a few months. Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.